Well, thanks, Dan. I'm so glad you asked. It's actually fresh out of the packaging. It's a little tight. I might have ordered a slim fit and not realized that my sizing was for regular sizing.
I'll tell you what the problem is.
Yes.
If you order your American sizes in a shirt that's made in not America,
Me big American man.
it's going to be a little... The sizes are not going to... Like, for example, just because I saw this happen last year when I went to Europe with family, is...
Oh, humble brag right there. No big deal.
When you buy... you can't...
European sizes.
You can't buy your American sizes in Europe.
Well, why is that, Dane?
Because
you're
American, man.
Because Europeans don't need extra large?
Yes, that's also true.
Well, fuck. Maybe we should run a little bit more in America.
Because all of their food isn't doused in, how do you pronounce that word? Glyphosate or whatever the shit.
Oh, god damn it. Glyphosates.
Glyphosates, yeah.
There's that.
That might have something to do with it.
Tons of fucking canola oil just frying it up.
Yeah.
They don't also eat things like fucking fried sticks of butter and Snickers and shit. And we pride ourselves on it. I'm sure... I don't know. Do you think Europe has like those challenges? Like, you know how you can go to a certain steakhouse in like Texas, and if you eat like a 82-ounce ribeye or some like shit, and then all the fixing, like, I'm pretty sure Europe doesn't have that mentality about food.
I think that's an American culture thing.
It's just so
engorge yourself as much as you possibly can, and you get rewarded for it. I don't think that's
no self-respect needed. Just check that at the door.
Yeah.
Shove this fried fucking rubber hose down your throat.
Although a corollary to that, not exactly the same thing. I mean, that's kind of what's going on with Oktoberfest to an extent.
In Germany?
Well, it's like, they have their drinking contest, but it's also like, I guess, my brother went over there once and he said something like your ticket into the tent is like 2 of the beers, but they're fucking huge and they're like
Steins.
They're like 12% alcohol.
Have you ever seen the chicks that lug
the ticket in will get you hammered?
They like put like 5 of them. They wrap their arms and they put like another like 3 of them on top of the 5 on each arm, like making it a 16. It's like, fuck, like you would have to work. You'd have to like condition for that shit. If you're doing that all day.
I know.
How much does a liter weigh? We're Americans. We don't do that shit.
What the fuck is a kilometer?
Or a centimeter. It's like we stuck with them all the way until we reached an inch, and we're like, "Yo, fuck yourself. We got it from here."
Speaking of which, before we get into your little breakdowns of the show, I will give them credit because they usually don't deserve it recently. But Saturday Night Live,
I did see that.
Did you see that
skit
one
with Nate Bargatze, where he's like,
"Yeah,
a gallon. How much will it weigh? Or how much is that made out of?" Nobody knows.
It was a solid skit. We will put that down in the show notes, the clip on YouTube to that Saturday Night Live skit. I think it was last week or the week before.
Yeah.
High quality.
Week before, yeah.
He's playing George Washington and he just goes down all these things about that are unique to America.
There's also a black guy that keeps asking, what about black rice? He's like, yeah, and the feet will be this and they'll be 3 feet in a yard.
He's like, but I asked about freedom. No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. It's like, yeah, it's pretty funny.
It was a solid skit. So
pretty good stuff.
Credit to him. Anywho,
didn't think we'd be shouting out SNL.
I know, right?
They need it nowadays.
You just take the reins off and you run wherever it takes you.
Yeah, you just run free.
Most of the time, right off a cliff, but
Culture Corner.
Yeah, that's the one.
Let's censor TikTok. I thought that was the place you're supposed to go to, like, show your tits and scream about the Republic.
Yeah, that's what I use it for.
I mean,
I'm the one showing tits and screaming.
I thought we were doing it right.
Yeah.
But apparently we need to censor some propaganda from other countries.
As a matter of fact, show my tits is probably why we keep getting banned over there. No, it's definitely the content.
And then the main Kill Switch Engaged. Great band. But
not fun when the government does it.
That ought to slow grandma down a little bit.
Yeah. Hot Rod Lizzie.
She got that old lead foot. It's a condition. Anyway, Dan, you ready to hop in?
Let's do it. Welcome to Weapons and Meme Destruction Podcast, episode 171, which can be found at wmdpodcast.com/171. You can get the audio only on any podcast catcher. Just search Weapons of Meme Destruction. And you can get the video on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey. And so we don't have to hear it from Nameless Faceless Guy next week. Also make sure that you text that number, 610-596-WMDP. That's 610-596-9637. Text a poop emoji. Text Dane's beautiful. Text David's shirts are too tight. Text anything you would like.
No such thing.
Anything you would like. It will get you on that automated text list, which, again, keeps you up to date with the show. If we get banned off of a platform, that's the first place you're going to hear about it. You'll get promo codes for merch in the future when we, we do have merch in the merch store, but when we have more.
Apparently you don't like it, so when we get stuff that you like, go buy it.
A lot of great things come with being on that automated text service. And like I said, if you don't like it anytime, just text stop and it's over. You're off the list. So anyway, do that so that Nameless Faceless Guy quits yelling at us that we don't talk about the number enough.
You know, the amount of shtick that we take from people we pay, outrageous.
I know.
Outrageous.
I know.
We are terrible bosses.
I know. You know what? I feel like a politician.
A little bit.
Right?
Little bits.
Like, they're supposed to be working for us.
And
there's this whole democracy thing and all that bullshit.
And they think they have rights.
They're working
Excuse me? What rights?
Who do you think you are?
I'm sorry. I paid you. Shut the fuck up and give me my donuts.
I'm here to insider trade, use your money to give it to my friends, and when I run out of your money, just print a bunch of extra that makes everything more expensive for you.
Yeah.
I don't take orders, I give them.
You know what we should say, Dane?
What?
Go eat cake.
Yeah.
And every time they say, hey, maybe we should cut off certain, eat cake.
Yeah. Although, before we jump in, just saying, it's debatable. She may have not even said that, but you get the point. You know what the point of the point.
God, this again.
Was that my fun at parties mode?
Yes.
All right.
This is what spurred on this whole conversation. I can't even root for a team anymore.
This is why the people come to WMD Podcast. They want David to make them laugh, and they want Dane to destroy the joke with a little factoid that they may remember at some point in the future. That's completely useless.
Fine. I get it.
Listen,
I get it.
It's a unique combination we have here, but it works. I think.
I get it. It just flows through your veins. So
works for me. Tickles my
Culture
fancy.
Corner. Apparently somebody wants to get rid of TikTok, and not for the reasons of the aforementioned, because it's just smutty smut with a side of smut.
Right. And for you OG memes, you'll probably recall that long before our getting banned on YouTube days, the first platform we were catching swipes from is TikTok. We were getting banned from there. So much so that we eventually just
rendition. This is our third rendition of our TikTok.
I think
right?
we're on. Yeah, if you search us, it's at like WMD Podcast, like 3.0, 4.0, something like that. Anywho, that's why we've been building up that cancel culture street cred for quite some time.
We know how to make another email
first place.
TikTok.
And what we're talking about this week is, yet again, you guys are probably thinking, guys, this story's like 3 years old. But no, it's in the news again because of the Israel-Hamas thing. Legislators in both the House and the Senate are now ratcheting up the calls to ban TikTok again. They want to do things such as either force a sale to an American company that has control over it instead of ByteDance, which is the Chinese-owned company that actually owns the parent company that owns TikTok. So the American Congress, in its infinite wisdom, thinks, well, we should force a sell because that's definitely not communist behavior to an American company, or we should just outright ban it into oblivion, send it into the shadow realm. Again, because that's not absolutely communism. In the land of the free and the home of the Whopper, I guess if you're one of these, elected parasites that sit on Capitol Hill and think you can legislate for all 330 million of us, this sounds like a great and fantastic idea to you. And why, David, are they calling it again? Originally it was because they're stealing American data and they're selling it over in China, and it's a privacy issue and it's a national security issue. But what's the thing that's got their panties in a bunch this time?
Well, it's just the fact that it's Chinese owned and they don't want any information coming out that might go against any of their information that they're putting out. It's just typical. But it's weird that they're choosing now because, like you said, we did get swiped or snatched or fouled. Struck. What is it? Doesn't even matter.
I don't even remember what I said. It's not important. But
right. We got it. We got some.
We were catching haymakers.
We got some body checks over there on TikTok, and it was all for at the time the COVID stuff and the stuff with the vaccination, and they fell right lock and step with whatever our government was saying. So there wasn't a problem then, but now they might have some different viewpoints on new issues. And now they're worried about that. But it's not lost on me, too, that we always say that, well, the Chinese government has control of their internet, so they don't get real news, so they don't get real information, so they're being controlled by their government. And that's how the Chinese government keeps control over their people. Well, what the fuck is the American government doing right now? It's just... I'm sorry, I'm choking on irony. And I don't think that they know. Or option B, they think you're so stupid that you won't figure it out for yourself.
Yeah, and I mean the thing that's really stoking the fire for the calls to ban it again this go around is Israel Hamas. So according to the New York Times article that we've shared down in the show notes and the links, I hope you can get. It's kind of hit or miss. Some people can get the article, and some people it's behind a paywall. We hope the latter, not for you, because we definitely don't recommend sending any money to the new shit.
The failing New York Times.
Yeah, the new shit Times. But anyway, the article talks about how the calls to ban it are now ratcheting up again because in some people's estimation on Capitol Hill, there are too many accounts that are sharing pro-Hamas information, videos, etc., and not enough pro-Israel accounts. And so what they're saying is that China is, kind of rigging the algorithm to create division in America, as if these people, the ones sitting on Capitol Hill, aren't the ones, the primary purveyors of all divide and conquer tactics in America. No, it's always just the Chinese. It's never them.
We got to stop those Chinese. And they're all caught up with misinformation about Hamas and Israel. But child porn is still a syndicate on Instagram. Was that the story that we ran?
I mean, we ran the story and I never heard anything that got fixed because of it. I mean, they had their mealy-mouthed, oh yeah, this is a shame and we got to really look into this, but I haven't.
They aren't calling for banning Instagram.
No.
That's pretty bad. I mean, I would think that was pretty bad.
YouTube trying to ban us for talking about it.
Let's get that before we do the other thing. There's a little thing called rules and regs and orders of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Which one was yours? Were you still Sally, or were you were something else?
Yeah, no, it was the same.
Sally? Okay. Yeah. So
I just called it by the acronym.
In orders of operation. So it'd be protect children at all costs.
Yeah.
And then everything else. So everything else. The stories that you were running about at the beginning of this whole atrocity with the children sacrifices or murders or whatever you want to call it of the babies, they cared about them right then and there. They cared about them. But when it comes to things like this, it's kind of a back burner. Yeah. And I wish they would go ahead and flip
Or, I mean, God forbid you have an opinion that deviates, 1 nanometer to the dead-on center pre-approved narrative that you're supposed to have. Because, that's the thing about TikTok. If you're not on it, good for you because it is a massive waste of time. Some funny videos on there. David and I send some comedians back and forth. It is entertaining.
It's so hit and miss, though.
It is. But, if you're not on there, how it works is it's all content generated by the users. And then, yes, it has an algorithm. So if you watch videos of cats all the time, then the algorithm learns that you like watching videos of cats and it sends you videos with cats.
Which is dark enough as it is.
So if there is a situation where, a lot of people that are producing content, again, using their free speech, if they are producing content and they happen to be pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine, whatever, or there's content creators that are pro-Israel or whatever, if you are watching one of those videos, you're going to get more of those videos. That's how the thing functions. So to say that now justifies the US government going full communist itself and forcing a sell of ByteDance to an American company, or at least control of TikTok in America to an American company, or outright banning it, very communist type censorship. If people saying things that you don't like is all that it takes to completely, rip the Constitution up and use it as toilet paper, then you're sitting in an office that you don't belong. What is your oath of office to say? All of you stand up there with your fancy ceremonies every time you get elected, and you're like, I'm gonna, uphold the Constitution and whatever your bullshit oath is that you apparently don't care about. It doesn't mean anything. The second somebody says something you don't like, you're just gonna completely forget that document exists. So.
And who censors the censors? Number one. Number two, I want to update that Maslow's hierarchy of, remove
important things to take care of.
Take care of the children, and then get rid of the cat people. That's one. That's two. So if you're just sitting there watching cat videos all day,
the example I should have used was dogs. So I didn't trigger David over there, Mr. Anti-Cat. I'm not pro cat. I don't really care one way or another. I'm kind of ambivalent about cats, but
cats, they're ambivalent about you too.
Yeah.
Tell you that much.
Yeah.
Like I've never met
personally, I would
cat
never
that was like chill. And in my however many years I've been on this planet, I've met one chill cat, and all the rest of them are just like like if you think your cat loves you, let him outside. That's all I gotta say.
Well, let it just away from you because it hates your guts and wants to kill you. If it was bigger, it would eat you.
Yeah. Try having a house tiger.
Yeah,
that'll work out for you. But
worked for Mike Tyson.
It did.
Of course, Mike Tyson's just a whole different.
He's a different animal.
Yeah, himself. Ooh, Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
I'm not giving you one.
All right,
those are bad for you. Yeah. Anyway.
But anyway, we have, kind of a bit of a twofer on this Culture Corner because, again, tacking back to that theme in there about, deviating from allowable opinion is we have a tweet here from Dr. Eli David, because if the government gets their way and they just cancel anybody that shares an opinion that they don't like, then all you're going to get is, room temperature IQ, like this tweet from Dr. Eli David over on X.
Yeah, Dr.
And, he's never going to be censored, at least not on this subject, because he has the correct opinion, the allowed opinion. And what he said is, quote, and he put the first part in scare quotes because there's no such thing as innocence when you're Dr. Eli David and you believe in collectivized guilt. He says, innocent German civilians elected the Nazis and supported them. 2 million German civilians were killed in the Second World War. Elections have consequences. If you elect Nazis and support them, you will pay the price. And then he shares a picture of, Hitler getting handshakes from, Nazi citizens at a parade or whatever. And for you video watchers, nameless, faceless guy is throwing it up there for you. But there's so many things wrong with this tweet. For starters, when you get into this whole idea of collectivized guilt, just know that not only is that never morally defensible, but collectivized guilt was kind of Hitler's whole program. His whole thing was this group of individuals, not even going to say the whole group, but because some in this group were, among other things, the reason why Germany lost World War I, and that's why the economy's broke, and that's why German citizens are having a tough time right now, and all this kind of stuff. We're going to take all that guilt, package it in a nice little collective box, and we're going to put it on all these people that are called Jews. And so we're going to do really terrible things to them because collectivized guilt is a justifiable moral position to take. So, again, right there, surface level, complete lack of self-awareness. If your problem is collectivized guilt, talking about 1930s Germany, and you're now saying that collectivized guilt is justifiable to carpet bomb all of Gaza, I don't know. What could you say to someone like that? That is really just not seeing that very blatant contradiction there.
I could ask Dr. Dre himself, Dr. Kaczynski, Dr.
Eli David.
Thank you. So they're fishing for a second. Dr. Eli, I certainly hope he didn't vote in any of the elections from, let me just pick a number out of my head, from roughly 2000 to current day. Because I'd hate to go any further back than that, because he would be responsible for how many deaths in Iraq and Afghanistan, and how many deaths that we helped procure in Ukraine, and how many well, and let's not go too far back, because then we'd have to be accountable as American citizens for Vietnam, North Korea. Oh, don't forget Fukushima and Nagasaki. That was a big one. Don't want to forget about all the German people that we killed. But that was valid. So yeah, we got a lot of death. We got a lot of destruction on our hands. So goddamn, I would hate to have a collective responsibility for that, for voting for somebody that decides to drop, I don't know, drone strikes on weddings and stuff. It'd make us look pretty bad around the world, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Make us guilty of at least as much as Hitler killed, probably, in that amount of time.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, the right or wrong of it, since you seem to be buying into this concept that collectivized guilt is justifiable, that's kind of exactly what people like Osama bin Laden said, was making the point that David was just making. America's been invading my countries, my holy places, people, targeting people I care about for way too long. And so I'm just going to indiscriminately attack Americans in general. Notwithstanding the fact that it was our politicians that did all of those things, Osama bin Laden didn't care. And I will venture to say that these very terrible Hamas terrorists, and they are exactly that, terrible people, again, I feel like we have to say this because, the right cancel culture that just labels anything that disagrees with them as anti-Semitic. Nothing that happened on October 7th was justifiable. Hamas is a terrible terrorist organization. The innocent Israeli citizens that died on that day, every life lost is a tragedy. But those people that committed that atrocity in Hamas, the ones that you're now justifying, turning all of Gaza and its 2 million vast majority innocent civilians into, putting them under essentially a parking lot. The people that did that on October 7th, I'll bet you they probably had some sentiments tending towards collectivized guilt. They probably thought what they were doing on October 7th was justifiable. Again, because they in Gaza have been attacked and targeted and mistreated by the Israeli government, but they didn't target their attacks specifically to those government officials that did that. They just indiscriminately, attacked Jews in Israel. So again, if you are, and this happens all the time, there's a famous quote about it, I forget what it is, but it's like, if you go out looking for monsters to slay, be careful that you don't become the monster.
I almost said that in the previous fucking segment. I almost said to kill a monster, you have to become one, because that's what we were doing with China.
Yeah.
How often are we doing this nowadays? Like, we play the good guy and then just fucking do the exact opposite, or do the thing that you would expect a fucking movie villain to do.
Right.
Like, it's just so so predictable now.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortably predictable.
And the final thing before I'm done with this segment is there's a little bit of I don't know if it's historical ignorance or what it is. I mean, I don't know what kind of doctor he is, a medical doctor or whatever, but maybe he doesn't know this. But when Hitler was elected, he didn't even win a majority of the vote, because the way that the German election was run then, it was a plurality and then you form a coalition government. I think the first election that the Nazis won, it was, somewhere in the 30%, high 30s, 39, 40% of the vote is what he won. So not a majority of German citizens voted for him. And then, with the burning down of the Reichstag, where then Hitler invokes the unique powers, in an emergency. A lot of historical speculation, but probably the Reichstag was burned down by the Nazis in order to give Hitler the power that he eventually took to name himself chancellor. Again, just because they voted for him on these other things, many of them maybe didn't anticipate that he would do something like that. But again, let's say they all did. You're saying that the majority of Germans that didn't do this evil thing that you're saying in terms of electing him as if they could see the future anyway, that they deserved to all die in World War II.
By the way,
and there's a corollary. The one corollary, and then I'll let you go. Is the corollary of that today is in Gaza, where the last elections that were held were 2006. Now, you might not be surprised to learn that the average age of Gazans is quite low, considering the terrible conditions that they're living under. I think it's like under 30. And so more than half of Gazans alive today were not even old enough to vote in the last election that was held in Gaza, which was 2006. So when that election happened, when Hamas was elected, and that justifies all of them being bombed indiscriminately, more than half of the people alive today in Gaza couldn't even vote if they wanted to. So again, a lot of things wrong with what you're saying, but the overarching wrong thing is basically giving a wink and a nod to collectivized guilt and saying that it's okay because your side is doing it. That's dangerous and it's evil. It's every bit as evil as what the other side did to you.
And the hilarious part about this is all these people that put these little memes out or think that they're so morally, higher than thou. They are, the mentality that they're showing right now by going along with the narrative proves to me that they would have voted for Hitler. They would have been the people that voted for Hitler, because this is the same kind of propaganda that was piped into the Germans. And that's what sent them down that road. It's this type of thinking that sends you down that road. It's this type of thinking that you have white kids in colleges one moment saying that there's 87 genders and we need to love everybody and be comfortable with all of them. And then all of a sudden they come out and they want to support Hamas. And you're like, how the fuck did that happen? Well, they're just following the narrative and not questioning anything. That's the dangerous thing that this is. The kind of mentality that you're provoking, or that you're fucking an example of right now. I couldn't think of a better word, damn it. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the infuriating part about people like them. I would have stood up against slavery back in the 1950s. Bitch, you're not standing up for it now, tweeting on your slave phone. You dipshits.
If in your comfortable lives in 2023, you can't bear to have a different opinion that isn't pre-approved for you by your betters, I can assure you that in 1850s America, when every person in society, except for a very, very small sliver of people that were actually abolitionists, where it was the acceptable thing to believe that this race of people were less than you, beneath you, it was okay to enslave them and do all this kind of stuff to justify slavery, when that was the prevailing opinion, you would have been right
going with the prevailing opinion now.
Exactly.
It's like,
in your comfortable 2023 life, you can't even have a different opinion. I guarantee in the tough times of 1850, you would not have had a different opinion. You would have been the go along to get along type person that would have just been like, well, not my fault. I'm not doing it, whatever. I guess it's okay. The scientists say that they're beneath us, so it is what it is. Hashtag follow the science. Like,
I bet he did because he's a doctor and he's smart.
yeah, he knows all the stuff. He is the science.
He's so wicked smart. Anyway, enough of that topic, Dane. I'm sick of it. You want to move on to the main?
Yeah, I want to move on to our dystopian future today.
Woohoo! You're paying for it, or they're paying for it. You eat it. Anyway, kill switch engaged. What does that mean?
Government would like to. They would like to engage your kill
Holy
switch.
diver, you've been down too long in the midnight sea. Oh, what's becoming of thee? Sorry.
Is that a kill switch song?
It's a cover of a Ronnie James Dio.
7 out of the 10 words in that sentence, I don't even know.
Holy diver. It's Holy Diver
Okay.
by Ronnie James Dio, but it was covered by Kill Switch. Engaged.
I mean, good. It's good job.
The more you know.
Anyway, we're not talking about the band. What we are talking about is something that I learned a few days ago from Thomas Massie, from following him on X. And, you know, I by no means am know every single thing that's going on in the political sphere and all of the ways that we're being screwed. I mean, I'm highly cynical and skeptical of the vast majority of it. But even for as, plugged in, for lack of a better term, as I am into a lot of these subjects, I didn't know about this until a few days ago. And because you won't hear anything, like they wouldn't touch this story with a 10-foot pole on MSNBC, CNN, Fox, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, like
the disgusting
no mainstream acceptable source that you're allowed to get your opinions from would ever touch this story. So good on Thomas Massie for bringing it up and bringing it to more people's attention. I'm one of them because I didn't realize it. But unbeknownst to almost all of us, back in 2021, in one of those multi-thousand page bills that the people that vote on it never read, buried in there was a law for the government to mandate that all cars built after or in 2026 or thereafter have a kill switch installed, which would allow for the car to be turned off remotely. Now, the ostensible purpose for this, because again, as we always say on this podcast, when an evil bastard wants to rule you, he never says, I want to rule you because I'm an evil bastard.
You should probably kill me because I'm going to try to kill you.
He says he's doing it for your best interest. And that's exactly what, the mouth breathers up on Capitol Hill have said about this. And the purpose of this kill switch is to save people from drunk drivers.
Oh, thank God.
Because if you're driving erratically or you're doing something in your 2026 and newer car that triggers this kill switch that says that this person should not be driving, it will turn your car off. Now, I am sure that there will be some would-be drunk drivers out there for whom this would stop them, and who fucking Ray. However, for every one of them, there will be legions of people who, myself included, have a bit of a lead foot.
Even.
Not afraid to admit my flaws.
Droves.
I drive fast. And once the kill switch is in the car, the question, just like we always ask about censorship, who decides what's censored? Once the kill switch is in the car, who decides what is erratic behavior according to the kill switch so that it turns your car off? And then does it stop there? Or does it start with, we're only getting drunk drivers, and then it's, you wanted to attend this rally that we don't approve of, or you have a gun that we don't like.
You're going to a place that is infested with COVID.
Or you had an opinion on some social media that we don't like, and so we're just going to turn off your car and you're not allowed to drive anymore. That's where this always goes. I know the people that listen and watch this show know that, but the vast majority of people that either don't know this happened or, don't have a memory longer than a goldfish don't know that that's where it goes. And this is why we need to be the canaries in the coal mine, ringing the alarm, saying this needs to be stopped. This needs to be killed in its tracks. Somebody needs to kill the kill switch before I drone on any longer.
Someone has to kill the babysitter.
You were really
Another quote within a quote.
holding that in.
Another quote within a quote. That's Cable Guy quoting,
Yeah, it's good.
Another.
David's Jim Carrey impressions and memory, his little library of Jim Carrey up there, unmatched.
I'm sure there's better. Anywho, the only real question I have about all of this is if I'm going to be sacrificing more of my freedom, is a DUI at least going to be less egregious of a punishment now? Can we just drop it down from like, it goes on my record, I lose my job, to like, hey, knock it off, you crazy kids. Like a slap on the wrist kind of thing. Like as long as I didn't wreck my car.
Yeah, no, of course it never goes in that direction.
Not that I would ever drive drunk, but
it never ever goes in that direction.
No. In fact, they probably make it more egregious.
Right.
But then again, I feel like capitalism will rear its beautiful little head again, and smarter people than the government. In fact, if there was going to be something that was going to put a kill switch into your car, you would probably want the government to oversee it, because it's going to be the most rinky-dink thing that doesn't work. And we're going to have plenty of people. You're going to bring it to a shop. You're going to be like, I want my windows tinted. I want upgraded stereo. Oh, and can you take care of that pesky little chip for me? Thanks. I'll be back in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So hopefully the private market will meet the demands of the many. Is what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, there will absolutely be aftermarket situations to be able to work their way around this. But you know what it's going to start out as. It's going to start out as a mandate, which is exactly what it is.
I can see the commercial now.
The federal government forces not only domestic auto manufacturers, Ford, GM, et cetera, to install a kill switch as it's manufactured, but foreign automakers, Toyota, Honda, et cetera, if they're going to sell cars in the United States, they're American cars. So again, Toyota makes a car in Japan and the car stays in Japan, no kill switch. Car comes over to the United States, and to be compliant with this law, needs to have a kill switch. And that's where it starts. It starts out with a mandate. You got to do it. Eventually, that morphs into, if, as David suggests, the market comes up with a workaround for it, as it always does, because the dumbest people around are the ones that are ruling us, and the smart ones are in the market fixing all of the things that they screw up, is then they'll eventually just make it a felony to tamper with the kill switch. So again, just tack that on to, what was that book? It was something like 5 felonies a day or something, like the average person just going about their daily life, not even trying to break a law, commits that many felonies a day. Well, tack this one onto it. Eventually, that's the direction it will go. Well, Thomas Massie tried to save us from the rest of his dipshit constituents up in Capitol Hill, but the stupidity of these people, if nothing else, their power lies in their numbers and ability to be stupid. Because Massie, just the other day, he put forward an amendment to this because it's already been passed and signed by the president, so it's a law. This happened in 2021, and it's going to take effect in 2026. Massie put forward an amendment to try to basically kill the baby in the cradle and defund the implementation of this. So it can be a law about the mandate and be on the books all they want, but if the government can't enforce it because it doesn't have any funding, then it goes nowhere. And that's what Massie tried to do. Well, unfortunately, his measure was defeated, 201 to 209 in the House, because Democrats voted as a block to make sure that the kill switch gets fully funded, because again, we're just swimming in cash.
They do stick together, don't they?
And 19 Republicans. So, and again, I don't have those names readily at hand, but I'll try to remember to put something down in the show notes in the comments so you can see who these 19 Republicans are, and if they're in your district,
you know what to
do. Exactly. 19.
Not violence, just.
Nobody was going to take it like that until you said it.
You gotta.
Anyway,
gotta
19 Republicans turned coat and voted along with the Democrats and made sure that they killed Massie's bill. And one more thing that I wanted to point out, because it's the next thing in this article, is And because
It
we've
reminds me of
talked
the
about
Family
this
Guy thing.
in other examples before, is I'm just going to read this next paragraph.
Oh,
It's really
shit.
short. It's only a sentence. It says, quote, proponents say the technology will save thousands of lives by preventing drunk driving. Get this, which has generally been on the decline for 3 decades, but contributed to more than 13,000 fatal auto accidents in 2021. So if you remember, we've talked about this several times, and one of the big ones is the Great Society programs, right? About shrinking the wealth gap between Black Americans and white Americans. And we talked about how Black Americans were making great strides before the Great Society programs. And then after those programs were passed, they stagnated or fell, such that within the next 10 years, if left alone, they would have reached parity with white Americans. But the government just can't be having that because they need their divide and conquer strategy. So they said, we're going to help Black Americans, and then kept them in perpetual
the exact opposite.
poverty. Exactly. But they take the government takes credit for trends that were happening before the government did anything. And again, you need to pass, like, I think 5th grade, you learn about causality and a causality chain. And what happens is the thing that comes first cause the thing that comes second. So if drunk driving has been on the decline, drunk driving and deaths therefrom have been on the decline for 3 decades, now the government is going to put its kill switch in. And then if drunk driving continues to fall, they're going to say, see, we fixed it. It was all us. It wasn't you, the average citizen, that were driving drunk less on average on your own without the government doing anything. It was our kill switch. We fixed it. We're going to take all the credit for it. And that's why you need to give us more power and let us do whatever we want in the future. Again, pay attention to when they do this stupid shit, because it's going to be their arguments of the future to do the next round of stupid shit, which slowly erodes away at your freedom little by little by little.
Okay, for the first time on this podcast, I'm going to call nameless faceless guy out. Please, when he was saying they killed Dane's bill, will you put like
my bill?
A little
Thomas Massie's
bill? Will you put like the little GIF or something like that of the Family Guy thing, where it's the Capitol? I'm just a bill sitting on Capitol Hill, and then a guy walks by and like stabs him and like throws him in the back. He goes, "Wah!"
So not the kid-friendly house,
the Family Guy version,
yeah.
Right? Exactly, because that's what I was laughing about. And without that context, I just sound like a crazy person laughing for no fucking reason.
David,
because I got a goddamn co-host that doesn't like to ask me questions when I find something humorous. Jeez whiz,
that is true. That is true. I got to work on that. However, I don't think anybody watching or listening to this show has any pretenses about whether or not you are in fact insane.
They don't. Well,
I think they know. We all know it.
I know that, but you could help me out a little bit.
Yes, you're correct.
Give me at least a 4-stroke lead or something like that. I don't know. God damn.
You are correct.
But yes, all the things that you said, I agree with fully. And just remember, they told you that they're passing the Patriot Act to keep you safe, and they haven't stopped a goddamn thing with it yet. But they know what your dick looks like. Oh, they know what your dick looks like, and they know who you're texting and who you're cheating on and who you're filing your taxes with, and all that good stuff. That should help with thwarting terrorists that we're now fighting again, or trying to get into another war with.
Yeah. It's who said it? It was either Scott Horton or it was Dave Smith that said, if you want to know who America's enemies are tomorrow, just look at who they're funding today.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Yep.
It's not that hard.
Yeah. And the next time that these assholes try to say that we needed it, like the government needed to step in and do X, Y, or Z, just remember the quote from William Pitt the Younger. Quote, was not necessity the plea of every illegal exertion of power or exercise of oppression? Necessity is the plea for every infringement of human freedom. It is the argument of tyrants. It is the creed of slaves. They're always going to tell you it's necessary. Always going to tell you it's absolutely required. Right before they screw you over.
And again, if it ever did the thing that they said it did, we'd give them the benefit of the doubt. But it's never to our benefit, and it's always to their benefit. like I don't know, man. It just and you just see it happen because, like you said, they're gonna get it through with the drunk driving thing, which was, like you said, has been going down, and then eventually it's gonna be like what we said before. It's you're not gonna be able to the freedom of movement. What unalienable right is that?
It's a pretty core fundamental freedom that is protected by the Constitution.
So
yeah,
unless you forget,
no more of that from the way, geniuses on Capitol Hill.
Because remember, people don't forget they try to restrict your freedom of movement during the COVID times. Remember when they started to talk about vaccine passports and whether or not you have a vaccine, then we're going to restrict your. So now it's starting to seem like they're getting a little concerned with how freely we move and whether or not we have to inform them of such. So again, this bodes ill because they started with, and then to go back to our culture corner, they started with misinformation about Wuhan and all that stuff and censoring that. And they started with censoring stories about other candidates that may or may not have affected elections over the past couple of years. It seems like they don't care about the rules until it affects them. So now they want to rewrite the rule book and say it's for your safety. It's always for safety, like you said, necessity. And it'll start off drunk driving, and one day it's going to be like, well, like you said, I said the wrong thing to the wrong person, and now I don't have a car anymore. So now I have to drive. Actually, it could be a great way to get that obesity level down. We might have to actually start biking places. You know what? I'm on the government side. Health first, They are actually watching out for our health. You know what? Dane, open your eyes. Open your eyes, Dane.
They're very open.
They care about your health.
They can't get more open.
They're coming for your health, Dane.
Can literally not make them more open.
Holy. Anyway, that's all I got to say on the matter. I'm looking forward to this 2026 marathon to work every day. Everyone's in shape.
Yeah, what's going to be funny is good luck buying a car in 20. I'm going to get my pre-orders in for 2025 now. Everybody is going to stock up on their 2025 cars and they're going to drive them things till the wheels fall off.
Don't tell them your plan.
It's not my plan. That's just
slip them in on the two of the. You think that they're just going to wait? Well, we said 2026. Gosh darn it. Got to wait until then. Can't start rolling out now.
It's not my plan, David. I'm just a human being like all the other human beings.
You're just a bill on Capitol Hill.
Responding to incentives, or in this case, disincentives from buying cars after 2026.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
So, well, at least it's like the 2020, what is it, 2035, where all the cars in California are supposed to be EVs.
Emissions free or whatever, yeah.
In the state that has rolling blackouts. And no water.
Yeah.
And we got to get these EVs on the road, though. That's paramount. Not making sure that everybody has power. Not making sure that everybody EVs. We gotta stop that. Goddamn global warming.
And all those
sneaking up on you.
All those EVs are charged with coal-fired plants because the politicians won't let them build nuclear.
The clean burning nuclear power.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Can't build that.
That would only solve every fucking problem they have right now. Whoops. But Fukushima.
Yeah.
Or what was it? What was the one the old one that was Fukushima, right? That melted down and then it was getting
that's Chernobyl.
No. Chernobyl's in Russia. I'm talking about
Fukushima was in Japan that got hit by the tsunami.
Yes, that's and it was churning out all that nuclear waste because it was an old one. But they use things like that in Chernobyl to whoa, sketty. But it's one of the safest. I don't know. They're in every fucking submarine, by the way.
Yeah, or maybe, I don't know. Again, Japan doesn't have a ton of land mass to be able to put them in different places, but maybe don't build one right on the coast. I mean, that might be...
Maybe put it on stilts like they do down in Key Westicles.
Especially if you have millennia of history of getting hit by tsunamis.
Well, we might want to build our houses a little...
But yeah, no, California could, put a few of them... lease some land from Nevada and put it right out there in the middle of the desert where nobody's around.
Could give a fuck.
And if they literally tested nuclear bombs out there.
Put them there and then just build a fucking extension cord. I don't know what to tell you. I got an idea. See that nuclear waste? You want to just put some more nuclear waste on it? Sure, yeah.
I'm sure we're skipping some steps, but the point is,
We're scientists. Okay.
the point is,
we're not scientists. We're men of science. It's a little bit different, but it's the same concept.
That's right. We're men of science. But the point is, if you're going to be mandating everybody get an EV that the vast majority of people can't even afford, you might want to do the preliminary step of making sure that the energy that's going into the EV is also clean. I mean, again, I've been
shouting about that for years. I'm like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. It's like, where are you getting that electricity from? From the wall. Well, where did the wall electricity come from? From outside the wall. I know that. I know that, goddammit. Where did it originate from? The big smoke plant right over there. But at least it's clean burning coal. That's American made. That was clean coal. That was Trump, right? I should have said Trump. There's clean coal. There's a lot of things we can do. A lot of great people out there doing a great many things. But all that being said, Trump impersonations aside and Family Guy aside.
Yeah.
Dane, where can they find this illustrious episode 171 of Weapons of Meme Destruction?
You can find this episode at wmdpodcast.com/171. They can get the audio only on any podcast catcher. Just search Weapons of Meme Destruction. They can get the video on YouTube, Rumble, and ODYSEE. They can link up with us on X, Instagram, TikTok, private members only Facebook page at $5 a month.
But most importantly,
go to the website, homepage, join the email list. That's another way to stay in constant contact with the show. If you don't like the automated text service number, which again, we highly recommend both or all, and also like, subscribing, and sharing on every platform so that you never lose track of us.
So we can touch you all.
But anyway, that automated text number is 610-596-WMDP. That's 610-596-9637. So like, subscribe, share anywhere you see us. Again, merch down in the comments if you would like to buy some merch to help support the show. We have a Bitcoin address if you are a Bitcoin person and would like to throw some our way. But most importantly, just tell friends and family about us. Keep spreading the word. Keep growing the sane space, because with your help, we can do it.
You're great. I don't fucking know. What was I supposed to do with that? Mike can be do it.
Mike can be do it.
Duck, dive, dip, dodge, duck. It was dodge first. I fucked up.
Whatever.
Well, you get it.
He gets an A for effort.
They get it.
No, you don't get an A for effort. What do you get? You should get a
dodge,
B for
duck,
effort.
dip, dive, and dodge. There we go. So got on the second take. Sometimes you don't get it the first take. That's why there's fucking lots of film. You get it. Was I supposed to say something here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Well, as always, guys, stay safe, but more importantly, stay free.